Amelia Sinclair, the head librarian of the quaint town of Willow Creek, hummed softly as she descended the creaky stairs to the basement archives. It was her favorite time of the week, the day she got to organize and catalog the library's forgotten collection. As she flipped on the dusty lights, Amelia's eyes scanned the towering shelves, filled with boxes and tattered books. "Let's see what treasures we can uncover today," she mused, rolling up her sleeves. Carefully, she began sorting through the oldest materials, meticulously recording each item in the database. She was so engrossed in her work that she didn't notice the faint scuffling sound coming from the far corner of the room. Suddenly, a loud crash made Amelia jump. She whirled around, heart pounding, to find a toppled stack of boxes on the floor. And there, partially hidden beneath the debris, was a pair of lifeless eyes staring back at her. Amelia's hands trembled as she slowly approached the body, her mind racing. Who was this person, and how did they end up here, in the quiet solitude of the library's basement? Swallowing hard, she knelt down and gently moved the boxes aside, revealing the victim's face. It was a young woman, her features frozen in a look of terror. Amelia felt a chill run down her spine as she realized this was no accident. This was a murder. Backing away, Amelia fumbled for her phone, her fingers shaking as she dialed the police. "Hello? Yes, this is Amelia Sinclair at the Willow Creek Library. I've found a body in the basement archives. Please, you have to come quickly." Within minutes, the library was swarming with officers, their voices echoing through the cavernous space as they began their investigation. Amelia watched helplessly, her mind reeling with questions. Who was this woman, and how did she end up here? And most importantly, was the killer still out there? News of the grisly discovery spread like wildfire through the small town of Willow Creek. Residents, once content with the peaceful rhythm of their lives, were now gripped by a sense of unease and fear. Amelia found herself at the center of the investigation, her role as the librarian who stumbled upon the crime scene making her a key witness. Detective Liam Granger, a seasoned officer with a keen eye for detail, took charge of the case, grilling Amelia about everything she had seen and heard. "I'm telling you, Detective, I have no idea who this woman is or how she ended up in my library," Amelia insisted, her brow furrowed with worry. "I was just doing my usual cataloging when I heard a noise and found her there, under the boxes." Granger nodded, his expression unreadable. "We'll need to search the archives thoroughly, see if we can find any clues. In the meantime, I'd advise you to stay out of the basement until we've completed our investigation." As the days passed, the town of Willow Creek found itself in the grip of a growing sense of unease. Who had committed this heinous act, and was the killer still among them? Amelia, haunted by the memory of the lifeless eyes staring back at her, couldn't help but wonder if she had somehow become entangled in a web of deceit and danger. Amelia found it increasingly difficult to focus on her duties as head librarian, her mind constantly returning to the grisly discovery in the basement. She watched as the town's residents, once friendly and welcoming, now eyed each other with suspicion, the specter of the unsolved murder casting a pall over the community. Detective Granger, true to his word, had been meticulous in his investigation, scouring the archives for any shred of evidence that might lead him to the killer. But as the days turned into weeks, the case remained frustratingly elusive, with no clear suspects or motives emerging. One afternoon, as Amelia was shelving a stack of returned books, a familiar face caught her eye. It was Evelyn Sinclair, the town's mayor and Amelia's own cousin. Evelyn had always been a pillar of the community, but now, as Amelia studied her cousin's expression, she couldn't help but notice a subtle shift, a hint of unease, perhaps even guilt, lurking beneath the surface. Intrigued, Amelia made her way to Evelyn's office, determined to uncover the truth, no matter where it might lead. Amelia knocked tentatively on Evelyn's office door, her heart pounding in her chest. The mayor looked up, her eyes widening in surprise. Amelia, what a pleasant surprise. What can I do for you? Evelyn's voice was tinged with a hint of nervousness, and Amelia couldn't help but notice the way her cousin's fingers drummed anxiously on the desk. Evelyn, I need to ask you something. It's about the woman found in the library basement. Amelia paused, watching Evelyn's expression carefully. Do you know anything about her? Evelyn's face paled, and she averted her gaze. I don't know what you're talking about, Amelia. I'm sure the police are handling the investigation. Evelyn, please. If you know something, you need to tell me. The whole town is on edge, and I can't help but feel that you're hiding something. Amelia leaned forward, her eyes pleading. For a long moment, Evelyn remained silent, her fingers still tapping nervously on the desk. Then, with a heavy sigh, she looked up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. All right, Amelia, I'll tell you what I know. But you have to promise me that you won't breathe a word of this to anyone, not even the police. Amelia's heart raced as Evelyn began to speak, her voice barely above a whisper. The woman you found in the basement, her name was Natalie. She and we were involved in something that went terribly wrong. Amelia felt a chill run down her spine. Involved in what, Evelyn? What are you saying? Evelyn's hands trembled as she clasped them together. Natalie and we were part of a secret society. We were trying to uncover the truth about a series of unsolved murders that had been plaguing our town for years. Amelia's eyes widened in shock. A secret society? Unsolved murders? Evelyn, what on earth have you gotten yourself into? Evelyn's expression was one of anguish. We were so close, Amelia. We were on the verge of uncovering the killer's identity. But then Natalie was killed, and I knew I had to keep it all a secret. I couldn't let the truth come out, not after everything we'd done. Amelia felt a wave of nausea wash over her. Evelyn, you're not saying that you had something to do with Natalie's death, are you? Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, Amelia. I never meant for any of this to happen. But I had to protect myself and the society. The killer is still out there, and I can't let them be exposed. Amelia stared at her cousin in disbelief, her mind reeling with the implications of what Evelyn had just revealed. The killer was still out there, and Evelyn was somehow involved. Amelia knew she had to make a choice. Would she keep her cousin's secret, or would she risk everything to bring the truth to light? Amelia paced back and forth in her office, her mind racing with the implications of Evelyn's confession. On one hand, she couldn't believe that her own cousin was somehow involved in the murder of Natalie, the woman found in the library basement. But on the other hand, Evelyn had always been a pillar of the community, and the thought of her being capable of such a heinous act was almost unthinkable. As she mulled over the situation, a knock on the door startled her. She opened it to find Detective Granger standing there, his expression grave. "Miss Sinclair, I need to speak with you about the investigation. May I come in?" Amelia hesitated, her mind whirring. Should she tell Granger about Evelyn's confession? Or should she keep her cousin's secret, as Evelyn had pleaded with her to do? "Of course, Detective. Please come in." Amelia gestured for Granger to enter, her heart pounding in her chest. Granger took a seat, his eyes scanning the room. "Miss Sinclair, I've been reviewing the evidence we've gathered from the basement, and I have to say, it's quite puzzling. There are no signs of a struggle, and the victim's belongings were left untouched. It's almost as if she was simply placed there." Amelia swallowed hard, her mind racing. "Detective, I may have some information that could be relevant to your investigation." Granger leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Go on, Miss Sinclair."
"I'm listening."
Amelia took a deep breath, her hands trembling. I spoke with my cousin, Evelyn. She told me that she and the victim, Natalie, were part of a secret society that was investigating a series of unsolved murders in our town. Granger's eyes widened. A secret society? And Evelyn Sinclair, the mayor, was involved. Amelia nodded, her expression grave. Yes, detective. And Evelyn told me that she had to keep the truth a secret, even if it meant covering up Natalie's murder. Granger's brow furrowed. Miss Sinclair, this is a very serious allegation. Are you sure you can trust your cousin's word? Amelia hesitated, her mind racing. I don't know, detective, but I feel like I have to at least try to uncover the truth, even if it means going against Evelyn's wishes. Granger nodded, his expression thoughtful. All right, Miss Sinclair. I'll make you a deal. If you can help me get to the bottom of this, I'll make sure your cousin's involvement remains confidential. But if you hold back any information, I'll have no choice but to bring her in for questioning. Amelia swallowed hard, her heart pounding. She knew she was making a dangerous bargain, but the thought of the killer still being out there, free to strike again, was too much to bear. With a deep breath, she nodded. All right, detective. I'll help you, but you have to promise to keep Evelyn's involvement a secret. Granger nodded, his expression grim. Very well, Miss Sinclair. Let's get to work. Amelia and Detective Granger pored over the evidence, searching for any clues that might lead them to the killer. They combed through the library's archives, looking for any connection between Natalie, Evelyn, and the unsolved murders that had plagued the town. As they delved deeper into the mystery, Amelia couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. The more they uncovered, the more it became clear that the killer was someone with a deep knowledge of the town's history and a willingness to go to extreme lengths to keep their secrets hidden. One day, as Amelia was sorting through a stack of old newspaper clippings, a name caught her eye: Evelyn Sinclair. The article detailed a series of suspicious deaths that had occurred in the town decades ago, all of which had been ruled as accidents or natural causes. And at the center of it all was Evelyn's family, the Sinclairs. Amelia's heart raced as she realized the implications of what she had discovered. Could it be that Evelyn's family had been involved in a decades-long cover-up, and that Natalie's murder was just the latest chapter in a twisted and deadly legacy? Trembling, Amelia showed the article to Detective Granger, who studied it with a furrowed brow. This is certainly an interesting lead, Miss Sinclair. But if what you're suggesting is true, then we're dealing with a far more complex and dangerous situation than we ever imagined. Amelia nodded, her expression grim. I know, detective, but we have to follow this trail, no matter where it leads. The killer is still out there, and we have to stop them before they strike again. Granger nodded, his eyes narrowing. All right, Miss Sinclair. Let's see where this leads us. Amelia and Detective Granger's investigation had led them down a dark and twisted path, uncovering a web of secrets and lies that stretched back decades. As they delved deeper into the mystery, it became clear that the killer was someone with a deep connection to the town and its history, someone who was willing to go to any lengths to keep their secrets hidden. One evening, as Amelia was locking up the library, she felt a chill run down her spine. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, and as she turned to leave, she found herself face to face with Evelyn. Evelyn, what are you doing here? Amelia's heart raced, her mind reeling with the implications of what she had discovered. Evelyn's expression was one of anguish and desperation. Amelia, you have to stop this investigation. You have no idea what you're up against. Amelia stood her ground, her eyes narrowing. I know exactly what I'm up against, Evelyn. I know about the Sinclair family's dark past, and I know that you're somehow involved in Natalie's murder. Evelyn's eyes widened, and she shook her head vehemently. No, Amelia, you don't understand. I didn't kill Natalie, but I know who did. And if you don't stop this investigation, you're going to end up just like her. Amelia felt a chill run down her spine. Evelyn, if you know who the killer is, you have to tell me. The whole town is in danger, and we have to stop this before anyone else gets hurt. Evelyn's expression was one of pure anguish. I can't, Amelia. I can't risk exposing the truth. The killer is someone with too much power, too much influence. They'll stop at nothing to keep their secrets hidden. Amelia's heart raced as she realized the gravity of the situation. Evelyn, please. You have to help me. I can't let the killer strike again. Evelyn shook her head, her eyes glistening with tears.
I'm sorry, Amelia.
But I can't. I have to protect myself and the family. I can't let the truth come out, no matter what the cost. Amelia felt a wave of despair wash over her. She knew that Evelyn was trapped, caught in a web of lies and deceit that she couldn't escape. And as she watched her cousin turn and walk away, Amelia knew that she had to find a way to stop the killer, even if it meant risking everything. Amelia knew that time was running out. The killer was still out there, and with Evelyn's refusal to help, she was running out of options. But she couldn't give up, not when the safety of the entire town was at stake. Determined to uncover the truth, Amelia pored over the evidence once again, searching for any clue that might lead her to the killer. And then, just as she was about to give up, she stumbled upon a crucial piece of information, a connection between the unsolved murders and a powerful local businessman, one with deep ties to the Sinclair family. Amelia's heart raced as she realized the implications of what she had discovered. This was the key to unraveling the entire mystery, and she knew that she had to act quickly before the killer struck again. Gathering her courage, Amelia confronted the businessman, her eyes blazing with determination. I know what you've done, she said, her voice trembling. I know about the murders, and I know about your connection to the Sinclair family. The businessman's eyes widened, and for a moment, Amelia saw a flicker of fear in his expression. But then, just as quickly, it was replaced by a cold, calculating look. The businessman's eyes narrowed as he regarded Amelia. I don't know what you're talking about, Miss Sinclair. I have no idea what you're accusing me of. Amelia stood her ground, her hands clenched into fists at her sides. Don't play dumb with me. I've uncovered the truth, and I know that you're the one behind all of this. The murders, the cover-ups, it all leads back to you and the Sinclair family. The businessman let out a cold, mirthless laugh. You really think you've got it all figured out, don't you? Well, I'm afraid you're in for a rude awakening. Suddenly, the businessman lunged forward, his hands closing around Amelia's throat. She gasped, struggling to breathe as he tightened his grip. You've stuck your nose where it doesn't belong, Miss Sinclair, he hissed. And now you're going to pay the price. Amelia clawed at his hands, her vision beginning to blur. But just as she thought all was lost, a voice rang out from the shadows. Let her go, Reginald. Your game is up. Amelia's eyes widened as Detective Granger emerged, his gun trained on the businessman. Reginald's grip on her throat loosened, and she collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. How did you know? Reginald snarled, his eyes darting around the room. Granger's expression was grim. I've been on to you for a while, Reginald. The evidence you left behind at the library was just the tip of the iceberg. You and the Sinclairs have been covering up your crimes for decades, but it ends here. Reginald's face contorted with rage, and he lunged at Granger, but the detective was too quick. A single shot rang out, and Reginald crumpled to the ground, his lifeless eyes staring up at the ceiling. Amelia stared in shock, her heart pounding in her chest. It's over, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Granger nodded, his expression grim. Yes, it's over. The killer has been stopped, and the truth has finally come to light. Amelia felt a wave of relief wash over her, but it was tinged with a sense of sadness. She knew that the truth had come at a terrible price and that the Sinclair family would never be the same. As she walked out of the building, Amelia couldn't help but wonder what the future held. But one thing was certain: she would never take the quiet solitude of the library for granted again.